And welcome to today's Lunch and Learn webinar, where today we're talking about internships. This is Internships 101. And joining us are representatives, internship coordinators and career services officers from SUNY Potsdam, SUNY Canton, and Clarkson University. Please note that this presentation is being recorded so that we can put it on our YouTube channel, SL Chamber NY, so that people may view it afterwards. I'd like to thank St. Lawrence University and Clarkson University for being sponsors of the Lunch and Learn webinar series. It's their strong support of the Chamber as leadership circle members and their sponsorship of this that we can provide these educational opportunities on a monthly basis to our membership. I'd also like to note that today is Internships 101, which is kind of the introduction, and we encourage you to join us in 2 weeks on August 4th, when we'll go to graduate to Internships 201, which will take a deeper look at the specific processes at each of the individual universities, as well as some additional experiential learning platforms that can be engaged, you can engage students with, such as capstone projects and practicums and things of that nature. I would like to introduce our presenters today. First, from SUNY Potsdam, joining us is Karen Kuss, the Director of Career Services, Toby White, who is their experiential learning coordinator, Jeff Phelan, Director of Career Connections at St. Lawrence University, Ann Clements, who is the internship coordinator in the Career Services Office at St. Lawrence University, and Julie Parkman, Director of the SUNY Canton Career Services Office. I thank them all for joining us to share their knowledge and help us understand what internships are, what they aren't, and how to hire an intern or hire a student employee. So thank you all for joining us in that effort. I will note that we will be sending out a handout in connection with this in follow-up that has information on Handshake, which is a platform that Karen will share more about, as well as this contact information that will be helpful. So this will be going out as a handout to all our registrants. With that, we'll start out with our introductions. And I believe, who is taking that part?
So that's me, Ben.
That's you, Toby. You're up.
All right. Well, welcome everyone. Welcome to Internships 101. We're loving it today. So I'm going to start out right from the beginning, really, and talk a little bit about what is an internship, and let's talk a little bit too about why have one. So my colleagues from St. Lawrence and Clarkson, I have to just give me a little break on this because I didn't want to reinvent the wheel. See, us here in the SUNY schools within SUNY, we came up, there's a definition that we have. So I'm going to share it with you what an internship is, and I'll give a little bit of more definition on it if I can. And can you stop your screen sharing just for a second? And I'm just going to go on with mine. Actually, I can do it. Okay, Ben, I got it here. So if you can see this, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what a internship is by the definition. So you can see that we call it's applied learning experience for which a student may earn academic credit and agreed upon short term. And that's really important to know in an internship. You know, we talk about other terms, but it's short term, supervised in a workplace activity, which may be related to a student's major, field, or their area of interest. The work can be full or part-time, on or off campus, paid or unpaid. Some institutions offer both credit and non-credit bearing internships. We have both in all the 4 institutions that I know when we were talking. Internships integrate classroom knowledge and theory with practical application skills. That's a important part of an internship definition, is this like practical application and skills developed in a professional setting or in community settings. So we talk about it could be still in nonprofits or nonprofit areas that they could do too. The definition does not, this is for SUNY. I mean, it might be in other schools. So that, again, this is SUNY, does not include ones that are required components of a curriculum. Example for licensures or completion, teacher prep, social work, dental hygiene. An internship is distinct from community service or service learning. So what I'll do is I'll stop my share now. And Ben, if you want to put yours back up again with the slide deck, sorry, it comes off as I share, but let me talk about, like, you know, in the definition of, you know, what an internship is, you know, for all the colleges I know, most of the things have academic credit bearing. So you're going to be working with the college and coming up with the job description. But what the internship really is, and I've developed this term over the years to help employers out, is there's usually two types. I call them inclusion and we call them project-based. So those are the two different types. And I'll talk about the first one is inclusion. And that is where you create an internship where you're going to want this internship going on, you know, every year, every semester. So like you have a job available that you want the intern to be doing, paid or unpaid, and you're going to fill that spot. Again, by the definitions of our Federal Labor Standards Act, though, but it doesn't take away a job of somebody. You have someone working with that student, training them. So it's not taking the job away from somebody. That's an inclusion. So you have that part. Most of the internships that are out there that I've seen over my years here, and yeah, fun, I'm working on my 22nd here. So what I've seen is it's always, there's a lot of project-based internships. And those are fantastic for students to do. You have a project that you need to do at your work. It could be anywhere from a smaller one to a long project that needs to be done, and the student comes in and help you. So we want to talk about why have one within your companies. I think it's a great thing to talk about. So here's the thing. I always talk about with my employers that it's called the hand glove fit. So we have students that are trying to get experience in XYZ. You have work that you want to have done with those students. That's where the hand glove fits together, and we create that actual relationship. That's where it fits. So the student is learning about something in the career field that they would like to do sometime when they're going to be professionals. And then you are getting that work done with the student at your agency too. So what you'll see is you'll see a student, especially that if it's academic in nature, is going to have a faculty sponsor. You're going to see new ideas that are happening in the field. The student and the faculty might see new ideas that are happening within your company. So all of those things can relate together to really enhance the student. I really am all about, and I'm sure my colleagues from the other three colleges are, it's about the student. So it's really about the student learning in an internship. If you start with that as your baseline, you will never go wrong. The colleges will help you about what you're going to do, and that is the essence of an internship. The value to the host company or institution, both from us, is that, you know, what I just mentioned, you're going to get some fresh ideas. Maybe the student will get some fresh ideas with you. You're going to be able to see the student in the workplace. You're going to be able to get some things done that you haven't done in a while. I mean, I remember me way back when, and I go, you know, I need a video done for my office. I was like, I need a video. Well, what do you think I went to? I found two students. I found one that could create the video, and I found two communication students that could write the video. It was awesome. It became award-winning, not about me. It was about the students. They did that work, and that's what they were trying to do. I had two graphic artists that were trying to become graphic artists. I had two communication students that were trying to write communication pieces in living. That's what I'm talking. That's a project-based. That's where I had a small little thing that needed to be done. They came in and did it. So we talk about the workforce pipeline in this. Oh, come on. If you really want to look at students live with sometimes even if you're paying them a much minimal expense to your bottom line, that's the way to do it. You bring them in, you can watch them, see what they're doing, and they get all those skills that we're thinking of like communication. You got things in how they're going to persevere. How do they think on their feet? How are they in their workplace, like, you know, resilience within at the workplace? How do they interact with a supervisor? How do they have global intercultural fluency while they're on the sites? How are they doing their digital technology? What are they doing with like leadership? All that comes out, and you can watch it while they're doing it. They're evaluated if it's in an academic program and so on. So before I move on with my section here, and you know, some of my colleagues might want to jump in too. If I miss something, that's great. Please do feel free to. Are some risk factors. So what I want to talk about in this section is just to be aware of when you're working with the colleges, whether it's paid or unpaid, there are federal standard labors acts that is there to help you decide whether a student should be paid or unpaid within the intern. We can help you with those. They're located on the labor website of New York State and federal government websites. But you just want to be aware of those risk factors too. You want to make sure, like definitely during a pandemic, which we're going through now, that they are following all of your rules during the pandemic, which you have in place at your organization. When I went through the pandemic with all my students out there, it went very well. They were hitting the protocols, but those are the risk factors you need to know about. Now, one thing we'll get into this more in 201, but there's different risk factors with colleges, really. There are, especially at a state school, and we can get into those later in 201 when we talk about that. I'll give you a little a little plug to come to 201 because we do have some different things about the state. So we can help you with these risk factors as you're going through when you're trying to develop your program. So how's that, Ben? Is that a good start?
That's great. Thank you. Thanks, Toby. Karen, would you like to move on to the next topic?
Absolutely. Okay. Well, thank you everyone for joining us today. When it comes to working with different career offices and internship offices, I would direct you to utilize the document that Ben will be sharing with you all today, where you can actually directly connect with all those respective departments, because we all vary in terms of what we offer, right? We have a number of different types of internship programs, like Toby mentioned, short-term, long-term, even project-based opportunities. And so each school offers different things, and we also have even more programs that you can definitely be involved with. Some schools might have a job fair available that you can share your opportunities with their campus. We have a thing called Career Day. We have, if you would like to arrange tabling sessions, or if you want to arrange on-campus interview, every school has a different sort of process with those things if you would like to get involved. So I would strongly refer you to that list of contacts if you would like to reach out to folks. And you can see based on what you're looking for, whether internships, for example, at SUNY Potsdam, internships always go to Toby. Job related stuff goes in my direction. So of course, every school varies with what they offer. But one thing that we have all together in sync, which I'm so excited to talk about, is Handshake. Handshake is actually going to save you a lot of time because we all use it, and which is it's an amazing platform. It's fairly new, about maybe 7 or 8 years old now. And what it is, it's designed to make employers' lives easier, career services, internship offices' lives so much easier, because it's a platform that does everything. And so what's nice for you is that when you use this platform, when you have a position available, let's say an internship or job opportunity available, you can make it visible for all 4 of our campuses for our views. So let's take a look at what that looks like. Okay, so let me just share my screen here. Okay, so here is Handshake, what it looks like as from an employer perspective. When you use Handshake, I'm actually going to be giving a couple of links. Some are some articles as well as videos of how to navigate it if you want a nice reference point after the fact. But this is predominantly what it will look like as soon as you make an account and you get yourself all set up. It will give you the opportunity to post a job, and that also includes internships, not solely just jobs. But if you would also like to use these other features, like request for interviews, and as well as if you have an event, maybe that I would strongly recommend making those events very career related. Let's say you have an open house of opportunities, then you can use this platform. But really, this platform is designed for students and alumni to have it as more of a career development focused platform. So keep those types of events in that capacity. So when you're in here, you're just going to make your own company profile, your own individual profile, as well as your company profile. And there's lots of great examples out there. If you can even look at what other companies do to get a good taste. For example, you can look at larger companies like IBM, who have a really nicely plenished beautiful platform profile that students and alumni can take a look at. And then what's really nice about Handshake is that you can actually manage your jobs here. I'm currently not hiring any students at the moment, but you can see this is where, and I won't post it because there's private information in there, but you can actually manage all of your jobs in here. So this is just amazing. You can manage everything in terms of what's, whether or not they've been declined, expired, posted, non-posted, active. And so you can actually invite students and alumni to interviews through this platform. But I'm not going to go into the full details. I'm going to give you some resources here, but I want to show you probably what the most interesting part for you is that you can actually add all of our campuses here and even then some. So when you post an opportunity, it's not just a one-stop shop. You could actually target a bunch of schools at once, which is really amazing. So if you click on more schools on Handshake, if I want to post that same job on Clarkson, I would just add that, I would add Clarkson as one of the schools I am affiliated with. So that's pretty neat. It saves you a lot of time. I can't express enough that of how many recruiters still go through the old-fashioned way of constantly emailing job postings. This is the way to do it. If you want it all up front and center, this is the way to go. And then, like I said, there's other features like events and fairs and things like that that you can definitely utilize. You can also even recruit prospective students. So let's say you have an internship and you really want a student with a certain GPA. And these are public, the students have made it public for employers' views, but you can actually coordinate this based on what you're looking for. So if you're looking for someone in a particular major with a specific GPA, this is super useful. I'm going to give you a peek at the student side of how that looks like. So typically here, certain jobs just pretty much appear. So when students complete their profile, it's kind of like an online version of LinkedIn. And once they've completed their profile, their homepage will neatly populate so of relevant opportunities. So your opportunities will come up front and center for our students. And again, this is where they can find events and so forth. Okay, and that really sums up how do you utilize Handshake. I will be sharing those resources in the chat. And if you would like to bring those slides back up.
Sounds great.
And so feel free to utilize those. Those are videos to really break things down, whether how to make an account, how to make a profile, and how to post a job. Another thing I did want to mention about the jobs is that you can actually post it for specific groups. So if you're looking for a senior of a certain class year, you can post it for them with them. So that's a really nice feature. You don't have to have it open for all students. You can actually have it just for a very streamlined group if that is something that you're interested in. And colleagues, if I missed anything, please feel free to jump in. Great.
Thank you. Thanks, Karen. All right. So I think, Toby, we're back to you as we look at the question of we've talked about what an internship is, but what is not an internship?
Yeah, I appreciate that. Well, thanks, Karen. Good job on the handshake issues. And a term that's out there, I like that Karen used, where you can post it to a lot of schools. A lot of recruiters now are going skills versus schools. So they want to find the skills from all kinds of schools now and find the skills from students instead of just recruiting at a single school. So that is really happening with many recruiters now. So let's just talk a few minutes because you're going to really want to hear from the paid versus unpaid, and then we can get some questions in. But what a internship is not. So there is some bullet points here that they're talking that it's not job shadowing, volunteering, service learning, things of that nature, or a student job. The biggest advice I can give you here, what an internship is, about what it's not, though, is that it's really about the student learning. So an example of what it is not is I have a rule that I use with all my employers when I start this up. So when I talk with an employer and we're creating an internship, I call it the 70-30 rule. And everybody's like, what is this 70-30 rule you speak of, Toby? Well, all of us do 30% of this type of work in our jobs. We make copies. We have to do data. We have to do data entry. We have to do things that are just like, it's the kind of sometimes the lower level skill base that we have. That could be 30% of a student intern's job. That's not a problem. It's going to happen. They're going to have those type of things to do. Okay. The 70% is what you really have to concentrate on. And this is where it is not. So if it flips, if 70% is in the first thing I talked about, that's when it's not an internship. So those are things, that 70% that I want on the front though, is that new learning, new skill base, new databases they're using, new skills that they're working within their career goals. That's really when it is an internship. So where I have this come into be is I'll have some people say, well, we want to hire an intern to just man our front desk. Okay. So what the issue there is if they already know how to answer the phone, know how to make an appointment, they know how to do data entry, see, you're missing the internship point. See, a student would not be learning anything about marketing if that was the job description. Remember, I have to make sure I just preface that it's about the job description that the schools will help you write. That's what it is. So we do have processes, all of us, to help you get in where that will be new learning for the student. That's when it becomes an internship credit or non-credit or paid versus unpaid. Okay. So I do have many employers say, I just want to put this in and I'll pay them. And I'm like, but see, that's not an internship. That is a student job. And thank you for having those. And we need those out there. You know, we need students to be doing student work and jobs at that level of work. But the idea behind an internship is that learning that's related to their majors, career field, career interests, that we're accelerating the learning. So if you always want to use that 30%, 70-30 rule, I don't think you'll go wrong. Most of my, happens all the time. So, I mean, I had 30% today in mind doing some of the work I was doing. I had to do some data entry and that's what I was doing. It happens. So what I do, I already know how to do data entry, done a long time. But then I learned something new today in my job, which was great. See, so that's my internship from Toby. I learned something today that I didn't know, and it happens. Okay. So that's what it is, what they're not. So my colleagues can jump in once they go to the paid versus because that'll come up too in the paid versus unpaid. So the same type of concept. Like, Ben, how's that for you?
Great. Perfect. Thank you, Toby.
You're very welcome.
Yeah, let's turn things over to Julie and Jeff. Julie Parkman from SUNY Canton, Jeff from St. Lawrence University. Talk about some of these differences here, paid versus unpaid internships.
So thank you very much, Toby, Karen, awesome jobs. Thank you. One thing I wanted to clarify too, why is it important that we're all on Handshake is that as a part of equal opportunities for students to have that posted. So I'm sure everybody in the Director of Career Services office gets those employers and go, call directly. We need so-and-so, we want you to refer. We're not placement offices. We are disseminating information and it's about access. So that's why we need you to post. We can advertise it and we will advertise it. We will email, we will do all the social media stuff to get it out there, but we would need to have everybody have the chance. So that's why Handshake is great. SUNY Canton was the last one to join it. I was remiss. It was a great opportunity. Thank you, Potsdam, for leading the way on that one. And so that's why. It's not like it's not the old days where you can call up automotive faculty and say, hey, send us over to. It's just not happening that way. We have to follow these rules. And with that, with the rules, we go back to the paid and unpaid internships and credit versus non-credit. Basically, what I encourage you all to do is reach out to our individual offices. We will help you, guide you. Like Toby was saying, we'll help you with the job description. Credit comes in two different ways. Some places like Potsdam, I know for sure with Toby is the students needs the credit within their, to get their degree. And there's more flexibility. At SUNY Canton, our internships that are required for credit are very prescribed within the credit, and there's actually academic overview. However, at SUNY Canton, we also have career fairs where companies will have summer internships. Our students can opt into those for credit or non-credit bearing. And the summer internships for our students have been very, very successful. They don't need the credit because their curriculum is very subscribed on what they have to take. But they gain a huge amount of experience and they're paid for minimum wage. And what we have shown, not only us individually, but nationwide, paid internships do convert over to full-time employees consistently. And then what happens is you get students who've had a great internship at XYZ company, they come back and tell everybody the next semester what they're doing, and that they're flocking over to them at the career fairs to hire for the next summer. It is your paid training position. Even internships are getting competitive now too. I worked with a student who was one of my students who went over to Clarkson. She's a junior there, but we helped her. I had built a relationship with her this year. She had 4 opportunities that they wanted her. She's a female in civil. They were looking for her for the future. I do believe it was a credit bearing that she was able to work with her professor on. But she ended up getting paid $19 an hour, which was fabulous, but she's civil engineering. So that, within the realm of that. What is very clear is setting expectations, having the scope, what objectives, who they'll be working with, and what kind of activities and projects they'll be on, and what kind of skills are they going to be gaining, and to how to make them more marketable. They are looking as a group to grow those skills. They are starting to, hear that those words mean something to them, and transferable skills, what we used to be called the soft skills, are much highly valued in the workplace now. And so these are things that you will need to think about in the intern business for that. So that's why it's really important to sit down with any one of us. And when you post it to others, if you sat down with one of us, you probably will have 95%, 99% of the way to being transferable to all 4 of us for that. But that is the plug I wanted to put in there. And Jeff, I'm going to leave that over to differences.
Thanks, Julie. That's very, very comprehensive. And I guess I apologize. My video camera has broken on my computer. It worked yesterday. I don't know why it's working today, but hopefully you can hear me fine. What I would say is that a couple of things. There are some differences in each of the schools about how they do things, but Julie's right. 90% to 95% of what you hear from one of us will probably obtain. I would say that St. Lawrence and maybe Clarkson might be a little bit different in terms of internships, in that if you're going for credit at those institutions, there absolutely always has to be an academic component, an academic oversight. I don't know for certain about SUNY Canton and SUNY Potsdam. There might be experiential credit that comes in without a particular academic oversight. I know there's paperwork and everything else to do, but the student actually has to take a separate class in conjunction with their internship at St. Lawrence, which essentially means the internship serves as the field work for that particular thing. Sometimes those things are an attraction for students. So if you can offer to work with the student or work with the student's school to offer credit, it is an inducement. Sometimes that means they get the experience and the credit, and that's a sufficient thing for them. Sometimes though, the student doesn't want or need credit. So if you're willing to work with them without credit, that's fine too. I know at St. Lawrence that we don't because we have that sort of separation, the credit is attached to an actual class and not to the experience, that we don't have any restrictions against students getting paid and getting credit. Some places draw a bright line distinction between those, and I leave it to my colleagues to sort of suss that out with you. That might be one of the distinctions perhaps among some of our institutions. So those kinds of things are, again, the more flexible you are, I think the better able you are to attract a robust pool of students from which to choose for your particular internship or experience. Along the expectations around hours and scope and all that, sometimes I have found that sometimes students come to me and they say, I'd like to do this internship and I'm going to be taking classes full time with that internship. And the internship's 25 to 30 hours a week. That's probably not likely. So to the extent that you can also maybe set up to compartmentalize or job share interns, that's maybe something to think about too. And I don't want to go down that road too far because I suspect that's more of a internships 201 kind of conversation, but I just wanted to mention that. The other thing, and to refer earlier to what Toby said about the 70-30 rule, I have a very similar kind of thing. And I think that well, the way I talk to students about it is you can't get the ice cream scooping internship. Once you know how to scoop ice cream, you're already there. You'd have to be something much farther along. Maybe you're doing hiring people there, or maybe you're doing inventory, or maybe you're learning the software for the accounting system or anything like that. So to the extent that you can have those higher level things in there, and it's not just about, I need a particular need plugged here, that's the way to sort of advertise those things. But we do, my colleagues will all say, we do take the jobs, the short-term jobs, the 30% of, as what Toby was talking about earlier, that's also part of the stuff on Handshake. We just need to work with you to delineate between intern, job, and full-time opportunity. And that's pretty much all I have to say there. Thanks.
Hey, Jeff, if I could add one more thing, just for, we are in the academic world, so sometimes we are a little biased with our own. So credit is something that students are actually paying a tuition for. They're paying for that credit. And non-credit is the students don't have to be paid for it. And at SUNY Canton, we actually, all students that have credit bearing courses have some kind of course that is attached with it. And I'm pretty sure, Toby, you probably have a similar type of course as well. So they're all attached to an official academic work, whether it's an online course for us that they have to have, diaries that will be put in, or management evaluations of projects or last pieces. Those things are often required. But whether it's credit or non-credit bearing, I would leave it to the option of the student, because some students don't need the credit, but they want the experience. I do think that as far as the wages are concerned, being paid, it's a combination of what is the federal law and what you're offering. And so again, having us there as a guidance for you is what we're here for. That's what we want to encourage. We want to be able to be the bridge that connects the two together.
I also kind of want to jump in here and really express the fact that, like, don't be scared to provide those opportunities for students. I know you might feel like you have to stick within a rigid line of giving students these opportunities, but it's so much better if you can trust students to take on unique projects within your organization, because we don't want students coming back of trying to figure out how to reflect on their experience when they're just photocopying documents for your center. Like, what we really want is to have students work as a way to bridge your organization back to the college and really understanding that notion of praxis. And so really, I strongly encourage you all to choose projects, assignments, activities for interns to actually really make those connections back to their academics. And that's really heavily important.
Any other final closing thoughts from any of our representatives today?
And I just got one. I'll just give a little story to help the employers out. So because we're talking about the credit, non-credit, paid and unpaid. So here's a story about a student that was a teller at a bank. So she came to me, and this is where the college can help. The idea is to help your organization. So she goes, I'm a bank teller, but I'd like to do an internship and get credit for that. Well, remember what we talked about at the beginning? I'm like, you're not going to get credit for something you already know. You're a bank teller, right? But she wanted to stay within the bank. So I worked with this student with the manager of the bank to go, listen, work your job, and only about 3 to 4 hours a week, you're going to go work in a different department. You're going to work in member services. The next 4 weeks, you're going to work as a loan officer. The next 4 weeks, you're going to work in HR. And the last 2 weeks, you're going to do another job. Well, long story short, they got lots of new projects from this student. It was only 3 hours extra a week that were unpaid because she had to do the internship. But then they put her in management because they saw how good she was as a employee. See? So there is the out of the ways of thinking that you could still have a person that's doing that work that you have, but then expand their knowledge within the actual organization. And that's how you did it. See, because I couldn't really give the student, as Jeff was alluding to, for credit for being a teller. You're already a teller. You're not learning anything new, but we're going to get you out and learn those peripheral jobs in your own environment. And that's just an example. So I thought I'd, just share that with our employers.
That's a
There
great
you go, Ben.
story.
Thanks.
Yep, that's a great story and example, Toby. And I will speak on behalf of the county chamber here that we have 3 phenomenal interns this summer helping out. And just to emphasize what has already been expressed here, the wonderful thing about having interns for us is that it gives us the ability to do projects that we otherwise don't have the bandwidth to do. And you can just put an intern on that project and they'll run with it. And it's a great experience. Right now we have an intern from SUNY Potsdam who is working on business development projects that we really needed help with, like promoting our shopstlc.com website. We have one working to promote water sports in the county. We've got one promoting our trails initiatives. So, and they can just take these projects and run with them when we, otherwise wouldn't have the ability to do that. So, so that's great. So there have been a few things put in the chat here that I'll just share. Karen put in the links to various resources, including Handshake in the chat, and Brooke has mentioned that she has found, after hosting numerous interns over the years, that a minimum of 6 hours a week is needed to really get a project advanced. 8 hours is better. So I would like to thank our representatives from the universities who shared information. Shout out to Ann Clements, who's also with us, who I failed to get the voice, get her voice in here. But thank you all for doing that and joining us. Next, as I mentioned, next in 2 Wednesdays from now, August 4th, we'll take a deeper dive into Internships 201. We're graduating to the next level. And we'll be talking about some of the more university specific processes around hiring interns or employees, students. We'll also talk about some of the other unique experiential learning platforms that exist, such as practicums or co-ops or capstone projects, things of that nature. So stay tuned, definitely stay tuned for our announcement of that, and register and join us for Internships 201.
And do we have any time for questions from the employers, or is it
we
almost over?
will do that in a minute, Toby.
Oh,
I'm
great.
just
Okay. I
wrapping
didn't
up,
know if we were leaving.
Nope, just wrapping up the recorded presentation here.
Perfect.
Then I'll also let you know that we will be issuing a handout to all of the registrants that has some of this information in it. We'll also be posting that to our new jobs webpage, stlcjobs.com. We will shortly be posting that, as well as a link to a recording of this presentation from our YouTube channel. So those things will be available in follow-up to this event. If you're looking for another event, I'm just gonna take the opportunity to mention that tomorrow we're doing a networking event in Governor at the Community Center from 4:30 to 5 o'clock, where we will be talking about employee retention. We'll have some good networking with business leaders and elected officials and community partners. And there'll be door prizes and appetizers from New York Pizzeria and beer and wine. So if you're interested in a networking opportunity tomorrow, there's one coming. So again, I just want to thank all of our representatives from the universities for sharing their knowledge and information. And I want to thank all of you who signed in and attended this presentation. And with that, I will pause the recording and we can do a little Q&A. Thanks, everyone.